I've talked about it for portraits, I've talked about it for weddings, I've talked about it just in general, how to shoot with it and why it's great, and all of you seem to love learning about this lens. So now let's talk about how you can use the Humble 35 to capture your epic adventures. Today we'll talk about why it might be the most underrated and ultimate adventure and landscape lens in your bag. Adventure isn't always the big peaks. It's often the in-between moments. And the 35 lets you stay light, flexible, and open to what unfolds. For me, it reflects how I want to live. Ready, present, and able to move with the moment. Sometimes having less gear lets you focus on having more experience. And letting go of control allows you to be present. We'll talk through what makes it special, how to shoot with it, and what other lenses you should consider. I'm Brenda Bergreen, and I'm here to give you practical photography tips to help you learn, create, and elevate. Hit subscribe if you want to push your photography further. And check out our favorite gear in the description below to support the channel while grabbing something great. And if you're watching this video because you have some fun travel coming up, make sure you head down to the shop and pick up our ultimate travel photography guide. But first, what makes the 35mm special? Sweet spot. The 35mm focal length hits this perfect sweet spot. Wide enough to capture the grandeur of landscapes, but not so wide that it warps or stretches the scene. It gives you context without distortion. It's immersive, honest, and close to how we naturally see the world, making your photos feel more alive, more personal, and more cinematic. Adventure moments. 35 isn't just about landscape, it's about moments. When you're on the move, hiking, climbing, road tripping, you don't always have time to swap lenses, and that's where the 35 shines. You can capture your friend walking into the frame, a tent lit under the stars, or a wide shot of the sunrise over the ridge, all without changing your lens or position. Size and capability. It's lightweight, fast, and it tells the whole story, not just the scenery. I love a small lens that's easy to bring on any adventure, even when I'm trying to be lightweight and nimble. I've brought the 35 up many mountains, and it's rare that I leave this lens behind, unless I'm taking my 16 to 35, but we'll talk about that in a future video. Versatility for lifestyle and human element. Unlike an ultra wide, the 35 lets you step back or lean in. It's perfect for portraits around the campfire, your boots on the trail, or a quiet coffee shop with mountain views in the background. The human element matters in adventure photography, and the 35 makes people feel like they're right there with you. Image style. The 35 also handles depth and light beautifully. Shoot wide open at 1.4 or 1.8, and you get that dreamy background blur. Stop it down, and everything's sharp, edge to edge. Perfect for sweeping scenes. Want a minimalist landscape? Use the negative space. Want layers and lines? The 35 can frame that too. Versatile without feeling clinical. The feel of the image. Over the years, I've used everything from 16mm to 200mm, and focal length variety is important. That's why I keep teaching about how to shoot with different subjects with different focal lengths. However, I keep coming back to the 35 as a favorite for adventures because when I look back at the images that I feel the most, it's almost always the 35. It has this way of capturing both story and scene. Whether I'm documenting an elopement in the wild, a commercial shoot for a lodge, or just a day in the mountains with my family, this lens is almost always along for the ride. So part 2, tips for shooting adventures with 35mm. Framing and composition. The 35mm challenges you to be intentional with your composition. It doesn't compress the scene like a telephoto, and it doesn't exaggerate space like an ultra wide. That means your subject placement, foreground interest, and background layering all matter. Look for leading lines, trails, ridgelines, roads to guide the viewer through the image. Position your subject to one side of the frame to add context or symmetry. With the 35, how you move your feet is just as important as where you stand. Seek light. Because the 35 invites you to shoot wide open, you can take advantage of soft directional light, even in harsh conditions. Backlight works beautifully for creating mood, especially during golden hour. If you're in the forest or deep in the mountains, look for pockets of light to highlight your subject and create depth. This lens plays well with contrast and shadows, so don't be afraid to let parts of the frame fall off into darkness. Where's your subject? Adventure photography isn't just about the view, it's about who is in the view and why it matters. With a 35, your subject can be in the foreground walking into the frame or further back to show scale. Don't be afraid to let them get small in the frame. A tiny human against a vast landscape tells a bigger story. And the 35 gives you enough room to show both the scene and scale, especially when your subject is part of the environment, not just standing in front of it. So part 3, what are some other lenses to consider? The 16 to 35 millimeter zoom. If you want that ultra wide look or need flexibility on the trail, the 16 to 35 is a solid adventure lens. It's great for dramatic foregrounds, tight spaces, and shooting interiors of vans, cabins, tents. Just keep in mind that anything wider than 24 can start to feel pretty distorted if you're not careful with your lines or your subject placement. I'll be talking about that lens in a future video, so make sure you hit subscribe. What about other wide primes? Well, we did a whole video on the battle of the wide primes, and it's worth checking out if you're still figuring out which one fits your style. The 24 millimeter gives you more width, but can lack intimacy. Each prime kind of has a personality. The 35 might feel just like home for you. Some telephoto options. Don't ignore a good telephoto for landscape work. A 70 to 200 or even a 135 prime can compress the mountains beautifully or isolate layers in the landscape. But it's a different approach. It's more about details, less about storytelling. You'll lose that immersive walk around and feel the place vibe that the 35 millimeter offers. But if you like to shoot from a distance, a longer lens can complement the 35 really well. Links to all of our favorite camera gear are in the description below, so go shopping and support the channel. And be sure to download our free money and gear guide, bergenphotography.com/money, to help you make practical decisions on the best gear for you. If you're looking to simplify your kit, elevate your storytelling, and bring more heart into your adventure photography, try living with just the 35 for a while. It might change the way you see, and in the right hands, it's not just a lens. It's a whole adventure. The 35 reflects the kind of life I want to live. Light, open, ready for whatever's around the bend. It's the lens of curiosity, of connection, of being all in. What are you carrying that you don't need? What adventure might be waiting if you traveled lighter? If you want to learn more about how to choose the right lens for you, hit subscribe and stay tuned for our upcoming lens showdown between the 35, 85, and 55. In the meantime, hit me with your questions below. Thanks for being here. I love nerding out on photography with you. So next up, check out more from our How to Shoot series. I'll see you over there.